Welcome to The Explainer. Today, we're diving into a powerful and maybe even a little underrated mental tool. We're going to talk about how this simple act of defining things can sharpen your thinking, clear out all that mental clutter, and totally transform how you make decisions.
Okay, so let's just jump right in with a problem that, let's be honest, we all face. You're looking at a situation, could be a project at work, a tricky negotiation, maybe even a personal challenge, and your understanding of it is just, well, it's fuzzy. It's a blur. You know there are all these moving parts, but you just don't have a solid grasp on what's really going on.
And in that empty space, in that void of clarity, our brain does something very, very predictable. Our old evolutionary instincts kick in and they fill that gap with raw emotion, right? Confusion, well, that breeds anxiety. Uncertainty leads straight to fear. And pretty soon we've stopped analyzing and we've started just reacting.
So, how do we fight back against this mental fog? How do we actually switch off that reactive emotional response? Well, we use one of the most powerful tools humans have ever developed, the definition. I know, it sounds almost too simple, but it is the absolute bedrock of clear thinking.
Now, when I say definition, I'm not just talking about what you'd find in a dictionary. A proper, what you might call an operational definition, is a tool. Its whole purpose is to create a sharp, functional understanding of an idea. It's not just about knowing what a word means, it's about forcing you to state clearly what something is, how it works, and what makes it different from everything else.
So what's actually happening inside your brain when you do this? Because this is where it gets really cool. Creating these sharp definitions isn't just some intellectual exercise. You are literally, physically reorganizing your mind.
Think of it this way. All these individual concepts are kind of like loose atoms just floating around in your head. A precise definition, that's the force that connects them. It builds a network. It turns all those random floating atoms into stable, useful molecules of understanding. And we can call that whole thing a mental cluster.
So without a definition, a complex idea like, say, trading, is just a messy jumble of feelings and associated words. It's risk and fear and capital and profit and loss and greed. All of it just mixed together in this confusing pile. It's like having a bunch of Lego bricks scattered all over the floor. You can't build anything with that.
But now, look what happens when we apply one of these operational definitions. We organize those exact same atoms, and suddenly, trading isn't this big, scary, chaotic idea. Nope, it becomes a clear function. It has inputs, right? Capital and time. It has a core process, managing risk, and it has a measurable outcome. The chaos becomes a coherent mental model that you can actually use.
This whole process of building organized clusters gives you a massive advantage. What you're doing is you're actively fighting against the mental chaos, what physicists would call entropy, that's happening inside your own mind.
And the analogy of a messy room is just perfect here. A mind that's full of undefined concepts is exactly like a messy room. When you need to find an idea, or you're looking for a solution, you waste a huge amount of your cognitive energy just rummaging through the clutter. And that searching is incredibly expensive. You are burning through the two most valuable, non-renewable resources you have, your time and your precious mental energy. Every moment you spend just searching is a moment you're not spending creating or solving.
And here's the crucial point. Your brain has a finite budget. It is not a limitless supercomputer. So by organizing your thoughts with clear definitions, you're essentially cleaning your mental room. You're just putting the trash in the trash can instead of leaving it on the floor. And that frees up your brain's limited resources for the stuff that truly matters.
So, what's the ultimate payoff for all this mental housekeeping? Well, it's a dramatic, and I mean measurable, improvement in both the speed and the quality of your decision-making.
What's really happening here is that definitions help you make a huge shift in your thinking. You move from that blurry, reactive, high chaos state that's run by your emotional brain over to a clear, deliberate, low chaos state. You're literally moving the processing of that decision up to your logical frontal cortex. And the result of making that shift is, well, it's undeniable. Your decisions get way faster because you're not wading through all that mental junk anymore. And, maybe more importantly, they become much higher quality because they're based on a structured, logical model of reality, not just a vague feeling.
So the big takeaway here is a clear, repeatable process for upgrading your thinking. First, you observe something in the world. Second, you force yourself to give it a precise operational definition. Third, you see how it connects to other things to form a mental cluster. And then, you use that organized knowledge to navigate reality with speed and with a clear compass.
And to finish up, I'll just leave you with a question to think about. What is the most important concept in your life that you haven't clearly defined yet? It could be success, happiness, your career goals, even a key relationship. What's that big, important thing in your world that's still a little bit blurry? Because that first step to getting clarity is just admitting what's still stuck in the fog.